You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carl Stebbings and Matt Smith.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 110 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me in my kitchen studio this week is my co-host, as always, Matt.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we? Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong buttons.
He's pressing many buttons.
Good morning.
Good morning. And how are you on this sunny morning, Matt?
It is really sunny.
It's really
it?
sunny.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
really
nice
nice.
outside.
Yes, it is 10 past 10. It is the 30th of April 2016. We are in the kitchen studio this week. We've been promoted again. We're no longer in the spare room.
No, we're no longer in the spare
We're now
room.
back downstairs. Yes,
And
'cause
my
the
lovely
wife's
wife's
got-
at work this week.
One massive downside to that, however, no sausage rolls.
No sausage rolls.
know.
No, we
Last
have
week was a
no
real
sausage
treat.
rolls this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just lots of coffee and
Yeah,
and
indeed.
stuff.
Yeah, which is just very much needed today.
So yes, it is the what are we on today? It's the 30th of April
is,
today,
yes.
and the time has just gone past 10. Well, it's 10 past 10-ish
Did you not
on
hear
a
me
Saturday
do that
morning.
just
Yeah, I know.
now?
I'm just repeating what you said. That's how we do things on the show. You know what it is. The chat room has got lots of lovely people in, as always.
has, yes,
good
yes.
good morning
Filling up
or
nicely.
good evening or good
Yeah.
whatever.
It is
night.
somewhere in the world. It is a
It
time
is a
of
time,
day.
yes. So good day to you all in the
Good day
chat
to you
room.
all,
Lovely to
yes.
see you all in there. Thanks for joining us this morning in the chat room in YouTube live. Because as you know, for those of you who listen to the audio podcast, we do a live show each week, which we broadcast via YouTube. So
And it
make
gives
sure
it
you-
gives everybody who's interested in the show a way of sort of communicating with us directly when we're doing
And seeing
the show.
what we look like.
And of course, we've had stories broken to us live while we've
Oh,
been
yeah,
on
we have, yeah.
via
Yeah.
the chat room. So yeah, it's good.
But also, this week, we do have a special guest with us in the kitchen studio. And he's someone who, for those of you who watched the 100th episode, which we done at the Norwich Aviation Museum at the Vulcan, you would have seen this particular chap there with us during the show and at the end.
Freezing cold.
Freezing cold, yeah, freezing cold. And yeah, he was there with us, and he's also a chap that's also going to a very posh fly school in the UK very soon to get his pilot's license, because that's the best thing to do in the world,
Well,
is to get your
apparently
license,
so,
really.
yeah, so I believe, yes.
So welcome into the kitchen studio, David Corsten.
Hello everyone, it's good to be here. I'm sorry to everyone in the chat room. They were kind of guessing that I might have been Captain Jeff or Nick, but I'm afraid it's only me. You'll have to make do.
Yeah.
But no, it's good to be here. Exciting. It's sort of strange to see it from the other side.
Yeah.
but see how it all works, but we'll see. It should be a good show.
Essentially, basically when you walk into the studio, it's Carl's got his couple of bits and pieces, and I'm surrounded by alarming amounts of technology. That's
Yep.
how it works.
Myla remembers you, David. She remembers you.
I'm glad to say I'm a lot warmer now than I was on the 100th episode. It was absolutely freezing.
It
but,
was absolutely
It was a
freezing.
cold
Mind you, you say, as I say, you say that the best thing about it was that it's such an iconic location to be doing it from. I mean, there are not many people who say they've broadcast live from a Vulcan.
And you got a
Let's do it.
chance. You got a chance to go in the Vulcan, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a look.
Well,
Yeah, I think I've got to say your 200th episode is going to take some beating.
Oh, no.
I don't know
God,
what you're going to do
God.
for that. But,
we actually were talking about that last week, weren't we, Matt? What are we going to do?
to top it? Yeah,
What we
absolutely.
yeah.
I still think Amsterdam personally, but that's just me.
We'll go and see Myla and gate crash Myla's
Absolutely.
pad, and do the 200 show from there.
Yes. So today, if you are watching live on YouTube today, David is in charge of the chat room.
Yeah,
okay? So
David's keeping an eye on the chat
he's
room.
signed in as us, and he
He
should
is,
be.
yeah.
He should be looking after that for us, making sure that we don't miss any important comments that come through.
I'll try my best. I think it might be a bit easier without Pip and Al here. I think it might be a bit calmer show.
Yeah, absolutely. Slightly less racy. I
Yeah,
think,
the feedback is still coming in quite nicely from the show we done with Al and
it
Pip.
was good fun. In fact,
It
actually, I was
good
very
fun.
lucky because I got to meet up with him. You were absolutely
Yes.
seething. weren't you?
I was this week. I've been on a late shift, so I've been working evenings, and this week.
Which is his favourite shift, by the way. He loves working evenings. He never ever mentions how much he doesn't like it.
I dislike you slightly more now.
Yeah.
And this week, Matt managed to get across to the city of Norwich.
Yes, long distance.
And long distance for us is 20 minutes at least. And he actually got to meet up with Pip.
I did,
And
absolutely.
you went and had a beer with Pip.
I did actually, yes, yeah. Well, I had a Diet Coke here, well, because it was a little bit late. It was only about 8 o'clock, I think, when we met up. So we both had a sort of like a weak beer, and then it was on to the Diet Cokes from there on in, because he was working the following morning, and so was I. But so I took him to the Murderers in Norwich. If you've ever been to Norwich, Murderers is a nice pub, by the way. So I thought, well, if we're going to take our guests somewhere that sort of says everything that you need to say about Norwich, the Murderers is a good place to go.
But Pip was starting a 6-day rotation from our Norwich, from our airport here, and
going to all sorts of locations.
Yeah, he's going everywhere.
Yeah, Gloucester, I think, was one of them as well. He's really living the dream.
Hello to Ray Davis in the chat room. Good morning to you, Ray, over there. And we did see the Connie photo. Actually, I did see the constellation, Lockheed constellation photo that was sent to us. Very good, because they've got all the wonderful air shows going on, which Steve and Grant are covering over in Australia, aren't they?
Oh, of course, yeah. Both very busy at the moment, aren't they?
They are very busy.
Yeah.
So we better start
I
things
suppose we
off.
should. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
we've got lots of news. We've got the usual commercial news. We've got some military news, some air show bits and pieces, because the air show season has sort of kicked off this weekend here in the UK. And we're going to have a chat with David all about the start of his long
flying career, hopefully.
Flying
yeah,
career.
absolutely, yeah.
So we're going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes, I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
David?
I think so, yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go. So kicking off this week's first news story on the Telegraph site, this one, and the Twitter tweets. That's what I've got to turn the Twitter notifications off, but that doesn't matter. We'll get those all through the show, no doubt. So the first story then is a serious story. This one was sadly in the news yesterday, and it's regarding a helicopter crash here over in Norway, and 13 dead, including one Briton. So the British chap was among 13 people confirmed dead yesterday after a helicopter servicing the Norwegian oil fields crashed near the western city of Bergen, the Foreign Office confirmed last night. The helicopter in question, a Eurocopter EC225 that was chartered by Statoil, the Norwegian oil major, was also carrying 11 Norwegians and an Italian when it suffered a catastrophic failure and broke up in mid-air shortly after noon near the small island of Turori. Civil aviation data showed the helicopter had plummeted 2,100 feet, which is 640 metres, in just 10 seconds, leaving the wreckage strewn across both sea and land. Morten Cronin, a Norwegian police spokesman, said the helicopter was totally smashed. They were searching yesterday in hope of finding survivors, but I looked at Sky News this morning. They sadly haven't found any survivors of the crash. Yeah. The helicopter had been on its way back from Gullfaks B, an oil field operated by Statoil. It's a very small island, and helicopter parts where the crash site is are spread partly on the land and some in the sea. Spokesman for the energy firm wrote on Twitter at 12 yesterday afternoon, Statoil received notification of a helicopter accident, and the helicopter was en route from Gullfaks B to Bergen. And a Foreign Office spokesman said that officials had offered the support to the families of the British national who was sadly on board and died in the helicopter crash. And the thoughts, obviously, from us here in the studio, obviously with all those affected by this this terrible crash. But Matt, you were online and you've managed to find video.
There's loads of photos and stuff doing the rounds at the moment. So I found this really, which I noticed BBC News was running this morning as well. So we'll run it out as well now, just obviously for legal purposes, just to say that this was lifted from the mirror.co.uk website. this morning. So if you are listening in the podcast and you want to see this, I'm sure, if I'm not being funny, if you're listening to the show, you're a big aviation geek, you'll know all about this. But for the benefit of those who are watching and listening in the chat room on YouTube today, this is the video that we found. And as Tony quite rightly said in the chat room, it's quite shocking because the rotor blades, basically, they're there in one unit, aren't they? They are. The blades are all still attached to themselves, but they've somehow come adrift from the actual helicopter body itself. I mean, that really is quite awful. I don't even know how that's even possible, frankly. But
so the EC225 Super Puma helicopter, passenger transport helicopter, is very, very widely used within the oil industry in Europe for flying guys out to the rigs and the various oil platforms in the sea. First flew in November 2000 and was introduced into service in December 2004. Primary users being CHC helicopters. There's been 150 plus of those built since it came online, and it's terrible news, really.
It is.
Totally terrible news.
So I mean, I've just been corrected actually in the chat room. I've been told off because it's actually connections, not just one connection. So several things have failed essentially in order for something like that to happen. But
it's actually manufactured by AirBus helicopters. Right. Yeah, Airbus helicopters manufacture the EC225.
So we need, it's just like all these things, isn't it? We need more information at this stage, don't we, as to what's actually occurred. But horrific, really, and I'm delighted to say not something that we've ever seen before.
No, hopefully they'll get to the bottom of what's gone on here.
Yeah.
Very sad news indeed. So we'll keep our eyes on that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So moving on to the next story, which is a special one just for Matt. David knows exactly what it is.
Back to the sort of the back to the norm, as we were like, slightly lighter. Well, I say lighter. Actually, this is not a great story. Reading it, it's from the Liverpool Echo, and as it's story number 2, that means one thing and one thing alone. That means it's a Ryanair story, and the headline is: passengers arrested after Ryanair flight from Liverpool to Spain is forced to land in France. Which we're getting more and more of these stories. They're never good news, are they? So, the 2 passengers were arrested after a Ryanair flight from Liverpool to Spain was forced to land in France at 6:45 a.m. The 6:45 a.m. flight, to Alicante had to stop in Limoges. Is it Limoges? I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong. Anyway,
David,
central France, so that the disruptive passengers could be removed from the plane. The aircraft then took off again and flew the rest of the way to southern Spain. Ryanair apologised for the inconvenience, but said it would not tolerate unruly or disruptive behaviour. A spokesman said the flight from Liverpool to Alicante diverted to central France after 2 passengers became disruptive in flight. The aircraft landed normally and police removed and detained these passengers before the aircraft departed to Alicante. We will not tolerate unruly or disruptive behaviour at any time, and we sincerely apologise to other customers for any inconvenience caused. The safety and comfort of our customers, crew and aircraft is our number 1 priority. And it's just more and more of these stories. Whether it's just because we're more aware of them perhaps now, I don't know.
And you want to go into this industry, David?
Yeah, somehow.
Absolutely.
I flew with Ryanair not long ago.
You went to Dublin?
I went to Dublin with Ryanair, and the flight was absolutely fine, but a lot of these trips people are unruly and everything, and to get to the point where they've got to land in France, when they were going, it must have been fairly
about 3 hours,
fairly serious.
To Alicante, something like that.
I think it must be 3 hours. Something like that to get to Alicante. It's not good.
But as you say, we're getting more and more of these stories, aren't we? Where people are.
The trouble is, a lot of people get sort of inebriated before they board the flight. It's not so much when they're on board, because obviously the crew keep an eye on what's being sold drinks wise. It's before they board the aircraft, and then like most people should know that when you climb when you reach altitude, alcohol has a slightly different effect to the human body from what it does when you're
I have a slightly controversial theory on this, which I'm probably going to get shot down for, but you see, I think one of the problems is that alcohol is ridiculously expensive on the plane.
That's very true.
I genuinely think that that's part of the problem, because people are having several drinks in the airport before they get on board, because they want to have a few beers, because let's be honest, a lot of us are going away for things like stag do's and that kind of thing. And I actually think if they made it so that people didn't mind buying the alcohol on the aeroplane, they probably wouldn't have anywhere near these kind of problems. Do you know what I mean? And also the aircraft on board would then be able to sort of maybe regulate it a bit better, because at the end of the day, a faceless person in Wetherspoons at, say, Stansted Airport isn't necessarily going to care quite so much. All they care about is how much alcohol they've sold. So I think the answer for me personally, and as I say, the chat room will probably attack me like mad now, but is maybe make the alcohol on the actual aircraft a little bit more cost effective and affordable, and then people might enjoy a drink while they were in the air rather than getting tanked up before they got on the plane.
There is method to the madness.
Yeah,
I see, Matt.
I completely agree. I think, in my experience, I don't know if I'm ashamed to say, but that's what most of us do, really. You have a few drinks before you leave, even if it is early in the morning. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever drunk cider at 6 a.m. certainly. just when I'm going on holiday.
I've done this. I've done the same.
I even shocked my own mother. Because I was sat there. She was drinking a coffee. Anybody who knows my mum will know that's a very unusual thing. And I was sat there with a pint of Aspels at 6 a.m. Then flying.
You laugh, but if you get it right and you get the vouchers and stuff online, there's something called the Number One Lounge at Stansted Airport here in the UK. It's a lounge where you can pay a certain amount. I think it's 25 or 30 quid.
Yeah.
But you can have fast track security, and you can get access to the lounge, and you get food and drink. Right. And part of the deal is that you can have any alcoholic beverage included in that price as much as you like.
Really?
And even I've sat at the gate at Stansted waiting to fly to Malta with Ryanair, because their gate is like 15,000 miles away from everywhere else. And I've sat there at 5:30 in the morning with a glass of scotch.
One is so classy.
But only one.
Yeah.
Only one. I do stop at one.
Yeah. Only you'd be sat there with scotch, though. To be fair.
No. Mila's actually put in the chat room. She said that she had a flight yesterday where a group of 30 stag guys were very much drunk already.
Really?
But hopefully they were good, well-behaved boys. I think so.
I think a part of it might also be that flying is becoming like normal. It's not a special. It's such a normal everyday thing that it's not considered to be a special occasion.
And we have the likes of Ryanair and things to thank for that, because they have made air travel something that even I can afford, and it's got a lot to do with that. So I mean they're almost a victim of their own success. But nevertheless, there's no reason to be absolutely tanked up, is there, before you get on an aeroplane? The chat room has been surprisingly kind to me. I'm quite pleasantly surprised. I was watching.
Hello, Paul Tricker. Paul's in the chat room. The next story on Breaking Travel News site, and the headline: Delta Airlines has placed a 75 aircraft order for the C series with Bombardier, or Bombardier, as Matt likes to call them.
Sorry, it's the beer. That's why I do it. It's Bombardier.
So Delta Airlines will continue its narrow-bodied fleet renewal with the state-of-the-art Bombardier C series, providing for added network flexibility with more fuel-efficient mainline aircraft. The US launch customer, who are Delta, put the firm order for 75 CS-100s and will allow the company to cost-effectively reshape and upgauge its narrow-bodied fleet, providing an improved customer experience and better cost efficiency while maintaining a focus on prudent capital in deployment. They've said that as they reshape the fleet for the future, the innovative onboard experience of the C Series is a perfect complement for the top-notch service provided by every day by Delta people, said Ed
You've
Bastian.
got a scotch in your coffee, haven't you?
I think I have, yes. The new aircraft are a solid investment, allowing us to take advantage of superior operating economics, network flexibility, and best-in-class fuel performance. This transaction is part of Delta's domestic strategy to upgauge the fleet, allowing the company to achieve its long-term financial targets, including 15% EPS growth and generation of $4 billion to $5 billion in free cash flow annually, while replacing less efficient domestic aircraft. What is in this coffee?
I don't know. Yeah, Scotch. I've already told you.
With the order of the C Series, Delta will no longer induct the E190 into its fleet as planned. Powered by Pratt & Whitney's latest geared turbofan PW1500G engine, the CS100 takes advantage of advanced technology and composite materials designed to deliver an expected 20% improvement in fuel efficiency over similar-sized aircraft when it enters service with Delta in the spring of 2018. The reduced noise emissions from the C-Series aligns Delta with broader goal to reduce the airline's environmental footprint. And the story goes on there. But, I mean, this is good news for Bombardier because every week we cover stories with Airbus and Boeing getting huge orders from various airlines. And it's nice to see that Bombardier, because they have had a bit of trouble over the last few months, Bombardier, with jobs and stuff. I think it's good to see that they've got, some
confirmed orders in the
confirmed
bag,
orders, especially from Delta as well.
Yeah.
Because it might only grow. So have you flown with Delta, David?
I think I may have when I was very young. It was a good experience. But I was just going to say about the story, it's good that I think there's some more competition for Airbus and Boeing.
Yes.
We don't want them to get kind of lazy and everything. There's going to be a bit more competition, so it might drive prices down for the other airliners. So I think it's certainly good news all round, really.
Yeah, and Delta's fleet they have got quite an old fleet,
Yeah.
especially the narrow-bodied fleet are fairly old, and also some of their wide-bodied fleet. I mean, we flew home on a 767-400 in February, and it was fairly old.
Very varied fleet as well, isn't it,
Yeah.
Delta? Like a mixed fleet.
Yeah. Next story is all
yes,
yours,
yes,
Matt.
the next story, that would be me.
Bit of a follow-on
Oh,
from the
hello,
last story.
right, okay. Yes, so this is on Flight Global, and the headline is Delta follows C-Series deal with A321 order. So Delta Airlines has ordered 37 more Airbus A321s, disclosing the deal a day after it committed to 125 Bombardier CS-100s. That's a bit strange. The US carrier has 2 A321s in its fleet and 43 on order from previous agreements. Atlanta-based Delta says that the 80 on-order aircraft will be delivered through 2019. Incoming Chief Executive Ed Bastian says that in a statement that the order for the A321s is an opportunistic fleet move. Dear, I think I've got Scotch in mine as well now. Move that enables us to produce strong returns and cost effectively accelerate the retirement of Delta's 116 MD-88s in a capital efficient manner. The A321s, I really can't talk today, can I? The A321s will be powered by CFM International CFM56 engines. I'm going to be terrible on the military stories this week, aren't I? On the 28th of April, Delta announced a firm order for 75 CS100s and options on another 50 of the clean sheet Bombardier narrow body, as we were saying just earlier. It's now placed its third order for A321s, having committed to 30 in September 2013 and another 15 in June 2014. Delta will introduce its first A321 flights between Atlanta and Orlando on the 2nd of May, and I think I need to go and have a lie down in a darkened room.
So obviously Delta here then committing to this the 321. I mean, Delta, there's a huge mixed fleet, like you were just saying, David. They've got, a lot of airlines tend to stick with the same manufacturer of aircraft for cost reasons and stuff. But Delta, obviously, I think Delta are so huge. They've got so many operating bases and maintenance hubs. They can probably.
Yeah, they can. I think they're going to drive the prices down because of the size of the company. I mean, everyone's going to want to supply planes to Delta, and if they can get all them planes from like a mixed fleet at the right price, then good for them. Really, it's certainly good news.
It's got to be good news for as I say, for any industry, like for any aircraft or any
jobs.
builder.
Yeah.
You get a big company like Delta come and show interest. I mean, it's great news. As I was saying with the earlier story with Bombardier, I mean, it's great news for them that Delta feel that a big that their planes are suitable for such a well-known airline.
So, David, the next story is all yours.
Let me just click that. Right, it's Qatar, not
Qatar.
Qatar. Qatar Airways turns to Boeing as A320neo woes mount. So Qatar Airways is considering acquiring B737 next-gen aircraft from Boeing, following persistent delays in the resolution of the A320neo's its teething problems. So CEO Akbar Al-Bakr told a news conference in Dubai this week that the Qatari national carrier may refuse delivery of up to 6 A320neo airframes owing to problems with the aircraft's hydraulics and software. According to Reuters, the problems relate in particular to increased noise created by a hydraulic pump when taxiing on one engine. In addition, some aircraft's hydraulic systems have also experienced overheating.
That's not good.
No, the woes are the latest in a series of headaches for Airbus industry, not least of which is the troublesome PW1100G power plant, whose own glitches Pratt & Whitney has now pledged to solve by the end of the year. But in the event said deadline is missed, Al Bakr said that Qatar Airways may have no other option but to switch to the CFM56-powered B737 in order to meet its growth targets. While the A320neo offers a choice of two power plants, the PW1100G and the CFM LEAP-1A, the latter will only be available for commercial use from later next year, too late for Qatar Airways' needs. Meanwhile, during the same news conference, Al Bakr also warned that Qatar Airways could back out of a deal to acquire a 49% stake in the Meridiana Fly Group should the Ceredian firm fail to lay off up to half of its workforce as required.
This is not a very nice story
This
to
is
give,
hard,
I guess, for his
there we
first
go,
one with
but-
all these horrible words and stuff.
You two are both a bit tongue-twisted, so,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's okay.
Yeah.
A decision will be taken by the end of June, he said. Qatar Airways has also the option of acquiring a 25% stake, scalable to 49%, in Royal Air Maroc, he added.
Awesome.
So Qatar then, it could be bad news for Airbus if they decide to,
Really?
pull away all the orders and stuff from that.
Yeah, that
from
would
the
be
A320neo.
Big order loss from Qatar. You wouldn't want to get on the bad side of them. You want to keep them happy as much as
I
you
know.
can. So to lose that order would be
Would it be a bit like
disastrous.
Delta pulling out with someone, wouldn't it? Again,
Yeah.
like we were saying earlier.
Or
it's
if you had someone like Emirates
yeah.
pulling out of buying
Yeah.
the A380s because they are the world's biggest A380 user.
It's also good news, I think, for Boeing, because I think the A320 has had a bit of a head start, or has had a better start anyway.
A better start.
Than the 737 next gen. So it's good that a big carrier is certainly interested, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Qatar, lovely airline. Lovely airline.
You've flown
Very,
one before,
flown with
haven't you?
Qatar,
Yeah.
on one of their aged A330s, very old A330. But no, their staff are wonderful, really nice cabin crew and stuff on their aircraft. Very
Really?
nice, yeah, very very polite, very nice.
Ah.
Next story on Flight Global, and Yemen Airlines signs for 10 737-800s. The Chinese carrier, Yemen Airlines, has finalised an order with Boeing for 10 737-800s. The order is valued at $960 million at list prices, says the manufacturer. The aircraft are scheduled to be delivered between 2017 and 2018, says the parent company China Southern Airlines in a stock exchange statement. It adds that the acquisition will be funded by internal resources as well as through commercial bank loans. And Flight Global's Ascend Fleets database shows that Yemen operates a fleet of 135 Boeing jets, comprising of 125 737s, 6 787s, and 4 757s. And last December, the airline also signed with Boeing for 30 737 MAX aircraft as well.
I must just very quickly say, actually, we have a new listener in the chat room.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, a chap by the name of Jacob. So, hello, Jacob. He's a long-time listener, first time watching it live.
Really?
So well done to Jacob.
Where
Hello,
is
welcome.
where is Jacob?
Jacob, I think he's from Down Under, from what I understand. More people from Down Under, Glenn has just posted. So I wonder
brilliant.
if he's
Brilliant.
familiar
Well,
with
thanks
it.
for joining us, Jacob.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, well done.
Sorry, I had to put you off your
put you
off your flow.
Fine there.
So back to Yemen.
Another huge order then for Boeing. The Dash 800. This is obviously the same type of series of aircraft that Ryanair use, as you know, the 800
Indeed,
series.
yes, yeah.
Very popular. I think this has been probably their most popular series of the next gen 73s, isn't it, David?
I think so. Yeah,
800s.
it's good to see the orders finally picking up for it after they've invested obviously a fair amount of money into it. But no, it's good news. It's almost surprising, really. I was hoping that there would be some orders coming in for the Boeing for the 737, and it looks
for
like
the
there
Max.
is. So.
Yeah,
and
because
for
Ryanair
Max,
have
yeah.
ordered the Max as well, haven't they? Which
Yeah,
will be good when
exactly.
that comes
You'd have been
on.
very proud of me actually on whichever night it was where I went and met up with Pip actually, because I managed to identify an aircraft without the aid of my top trumps cards. You'd be very proud of me. I know.
Really?
I know. I can't remember what we were talking about, and I just went, "Oh, that was the 737-800, wasn't it?" And he just sort of sat back in his chair.
You see,
he says, doing a visual joke.
It's rubbing off on you.
I know,
finally.
absolutely. Anyway, yes,
the next story.
Next story. That would be on the chaviation.com. Who's that? Who's CH Aviation? I don't know.
It's a news
Anyway,
site.
CH Aviation, and the headline is Etihad partner, or Etihad. Is it Etihad or Etihad?
I'll say Etihad.
Etihad. Okay, all right. So Etihad partner, something I can't pronounce. This could be
Alitalia.
Alitalia. Oh right. So
Alitalia.
Oh dear. Here we. Shall I start that one again? So Etihad partner Alitalia studying Alitalia. As in Al-Italia.
Exactly.
There we go.
Al-Italia. Right, shall I start again?
Start again.
Okay. Etihad partner Al-Italia studying possible stake in Air Malta. Following months of speculation about a possible tie-up with Etihad Airways and Alitalia has come forward and announced it's signed a memorandum of understanding with the board of directors of Air Malta and the government of Malta to complete a comprehensive due diligence with the possible intention of becoming a 49% stakeholder in the Maltese airline. Alitalia is 49% owned by Etihad. There are strong cultural and commercial bonds between Italy and Malta, and this MOU is a first and important step, but we will only make a decision once we have completed an exhaustive examination of a possible deal. Alitalia's CEO Cramner Ball said, "We will need to establish unequivocally that a deal with Air Malta will not undermine the progress of our 3-year turnaround programme or prejudice our financial position." Ball added that with Alitalia on track to attain profitability by 2017, there was a need to consider further plans, hence the interest in Air Malta. As such, given Malta's proximity to Italy, Alitalia will study how Air Malta can complement Alitalia's strategic growth plans, especially in areas such as southern Italy. The future of the commercial aviation industry has to be one of consolidation, and for us to prosper, we must examine opportunities where we believe we can offer a wider reach for our customers, he said. Air Malta chairwoman Maria Mikalev. We'll go with Mikalev. Okay. Apologies to the lovely Maria if I have got it wrong. Said that the negotiations were at an early stage and that the state-owned company would cease talks with other airlines now that an MOU with Alitalia has been signed. The carrier hopes to continue the due diligence by the end of July, following which the boards of Alitalia and Air Malta will then make a decision on whether to proceed with an undertaking. Air Malta currently operates a fleet of 3 A319-100s and 7 A320-200s on flights to 30 destinations in Italy, Germany, France, Switzerland, Russia and the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Australia, Chechnya and Belgium. It is in the process of restructuring the operations aimed at cutting years of heavy losses. As such, a potential tie-up with Alitalia is expected to ease the Maltese carrier's cost base and increase its overall profitability, given access to greater economies of scale.
I love this story.
Well, it's just because it's got the word Malta in it. That's the only reason.
Because it's my second home. No, well, I'm just biased anyway, but no, Air Malta are they're such a good airline, and they're one of the few. I wouldn't say they're a low-cost airline as such, because they are the country's own airline, but their flights are sometimes cheaper than Ryanair's and EasyJet's.
Really?
And we're flying with them in June this year. Back to Malta, but with them you get 20 kilos of suitcase included in the price.
Okay.
No add-ons, no extra
How
fees.
great.
It's included in the price.
We've got to develop another outside broadcast, have I? Is that
I
right?
think
You're
we
off
do.
To Malta again, honestly.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll see how things roll. But we may, me and Matt might go to the Malta Air Show in September this year.
It does make you wonder, though, slightly that obviously they've had years of heavy losses. And,
They have.
And Carlos, you're saying what a great airline they are. You get free baggage allowance and everything like that. But if that's eating away at their
Is that
their
why?
overheads and their more fuel burn because of that, even we can sit here and say that they're a good airline, obviously, but how many people are going to go for them because they're a better airline? When
Carlos
you
is
could go with
crying now, by the way.
when you could go with Ryanair or EasyJet or whoever else, because it's cheaper, because that's all most people care about is the ticket price, unfortunately.
Yeah. But they are, if you catch them right, sometimes they are half the price flights.
But with the baggage allowance,
them
as he's saying, the thing is though, I mean, I've got very used to packing hand luggage when I go on holiday. So I don't, you know, I'd almost rather, as you say, perhaps if
you still get your 10
same.
kilos with Air Malta for hand luggage.
Right, I've got 10 kilos.
Yes, you get 10 kilos.
Wow.
And you get 20 kilos for your hold baggage as well. But
it sounds like things are very much on the up, doesn't it? It sounds like they are sort of hopefully by next year they will be back in profit, and then the great deals can continue.
It's actually go, on the similar sort of lines of the airline itself. Lucca Airport in Malta is becoming quite a hub now. Emirates run flights out of there quite a few days during the week to Dubai, and quite a few of the larger air like the sort of Emirates and Qatar and that they fly out of Malta.
I should just say a very good morning to Neville, who's just joined us in the chat room.
Mr. Bounds.
Yeah, Mr. Bounds. There's plenty of cars from the 1970s.
There certainly is. There certainly is.
You can always tell when Neville's in the chat room. Yeah.
So next story is all yours, David.
Right, let's see. Right, this is from the Flight Global website, and it's French startup Air 2 sets time frame for launch. So Air 2 is planning to begin operations within 12 to 18 months. Speaking to Flight Global at the Routes Europe conference in Krakow today, founding partner Bruno Buell? Sorry, I'm not French, but he'll be Bruno from now.
Just go with Bruno. We'll go with Bruno, yes. All right, Bruno.
Founding partner Bruno said the French startup carrier was seeking to source 2 to 3 aircraft with between 140 and 160 seats, such as an Airbus 319, and then grow the fleet to 10 to 12 units within 3 years. Bruno describes Air 2 as still a project and not yet a fully established company. He says investors are being sought at the moment. Air 2 will, he adds, be a traditional low-cost carrier operating across Europe, but will not be a hard discount operator. Rather, its model will be similar to EasyJet's, Ryanair's, and Volate's.
Volate.
There we go. Though the new carrier will be positioned as a French company for sure, with its first base in the country, it will seek to add a station elsewhere as it grows. Air 2 aims to operate domestic flights as the network in France is underdeveloped for sure, but also intends to ply international routes. Bruno suggests that there are opportunities for triangular flights such as Rome, Dortmund and Nantes.
This is...
Air 2, I've just been, while David's been talking, I've just been trying to see if I could find out some more information on Air 2 itself. Obviously, it's not yet been fully established yet, but there's actually not a lot online at all about the startup airline. Although in New Zealand, there is actually an airline called AirToThere.com, who are a scheduled and charter New Zealand airline called AirToThere.com.
I hope, Carlos, you haven't just scuppered Bruno's plans.
Yeah.
Now. No.
Suddenly there's a lawsuit coming as well.
Should have done some research.
I've literally just found it on there. There's nothing on Wikipedia at all.
Do they have do France already have a sort of like a
You've got
Ryanair?
Air France,
but do they have a Ryanair stroke EasyJet equivalent, if you like, to what we've got?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
No.
Certainly not a well-known one. I'm probably going to be put right here in the chat room, but I certainly can't think of one currently.
Yeah,
so maybe there is a gap.
It suggests that there could be space in the market then, perhaps, for something similar. I'll leave you guys to look that up then, shall I?
No, I'm just quickly looking on here.
I have found one quickly online.
Well done.
Multitasking here. Hop airline.
Oh yeah, Hop.
Just having a look here.
Oh, okay.
This is good research. This is good planning.
It's good planning. Yeah.
It is, absolutely. Yeah.
Just from a brief look, though, it does look like there is one called Hop Hop Airlines. I think it may well be owned by Air France, or they have, because
Yeah,
their
it is.
logo
Right,
is
a
here on the
sort of
website.
subsidiary
so,
thereof.
yeah.
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 So well, it suggests that they can. It may mean they don't have too much trouble finding backers, perhaps, if there is space in the market.
Because it
in
is
France.
tough. I mean,
Yeah.
starting a new airline from
Yeah,
scratch is
Yeah.
really, really tough to
Yeah.
to put these things into place and to have all the infrastructure and
Yeah.
get the routes, which
Definitely.
obviously cost a lot of money to buy or to buy slots at airports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
that's
they're going to
like
go
that.
for major airports as well, we all know the cheapest slots are the ones that are not so well known airports.
Yeah.
That might be what they have to aim for. to
Unless
start
it's
with.
Norwich, which is still very unknown, but ridiculously
No.
expensive for anyone to fly into and out of.
Exactly. So next story on Flight Global's site, and the headline: China Eastern signs for 35 A350s and 787-9s. So China Eastern Airlines has signed for 20 Airbus A350-900s and 15 Boeing 787-9s as part of a long-haul fleet modernisation programme. The airline says in a filing to the Shanghai Stock Exchange that it is taking delivery of the A350s in batches from 2018 to 2022. All the A350s are exclusively powered by Rolls-Royce Trent XWB engines. 2 aircraft will arrive in 2018, 3 in 2019 and 2 in 2020 before the remaining 13 are introduced in 2021 to 22. China Eastern adds that it will receive the 787-9s over the period from 2018 to 2021. It is not given an engine selection for the Boeing jets. 4 787s will be delivered in 2018, followed by 6 in 2019, and the other 5 in 2020-21. The long-haul renewal restores commitment to the 787 lost in 2011 when China Eastern ditched a 787 order in favour of the 737. As part of the fleet upgrade programme, the carrier is to withdraw 12 Airbus A330s and 6 Boeing 767s from service. It values the A350 deal at just under $6 million and the 787 agreement at $3.9 billion, but says that the airframers have granted significant concessions, because obviously we all know that airlines don't pay the price that is on the ticket, which most people don't do these days. But no, good news then for Boeing and Airbus for sure there.
It appears they're kind of like hedging their bet slightly with ordering both from the Airbus A350 and the Dreamliner from Boeing, kind of maybe playing them off a little bit against each other just to
Yeah, I
see
wonder
how
if you
they-
lower the prices a bit, maybe.
It would be interesting to be in the meeting there, wouldn't it, to see with Airbus and Boeing how much. How much are you going to do that for? I mean, I can get that from Boeing for $20 less.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out at this point, going shopping with Carlos is an absolute nightmare, by the way, because he will never ever and I mean never buy the ticket price.
No,
never
no,
pay what it says
no.
on the ticket. No, it's a nightmare. Honestly.
Terrible.
Yeah, if you
No.
go even in Morrison's, you have to sort of allow an extra 20 minutes to go shopping with. Anyway, yes.
But he's got to afford his flight lessons somehow. so-
Well, that's a
Exactly,
good point. Yeah, all right,
exactly.
yeah, no, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, well played. Okay, anyway, the next story. This is on the Aviation News Online website, and so it's the Aviation Economics, and the headline is Air France takes delivery of its 70th 777. That's quite exciting. Boeing and Air France have marked a milestone today with the delivery of the airline's 70th 777. The French flag carrier was the launch customer for both the 777-300ERs in 2004 and the 777 Freighter in 2009. Air France took delivery of its first 777-200ER in March 1998. The 777 range has been one of the pillars of Air France fleet growth, says Frédéric Gailly, CEO of Air France. The Boeing's 777 has gained a reputation for its reliability, economic performance and comfort, offering our passengers the highest standards. Since the late 1950s, when it took delivery of its first 707 or 707, Air France has operated nearly every commercial airplane Boeing has produced. Today, the 777 is the workhorse of the Paris-based carrier's long-haul fleet, with the airline serving more than 179 destinations in 80 countries last year. Air France has successfully utilised 777 variants across both its passenger and cargo operations for 2 decades to remain at the forefront of commercial aviation in terms of performance, economics and passenger comfort, said John, Senior Vice President of Global Sales and Marketing, Boeing Commercial Airlines. We are honoured that a carrier as prestigious as Air France has chosen the 777 to form the backbone of its long-haul fleet, and are proud that our historic partnership that stretches back more than 60 years. Air France is a part of the Air France KLM group, which is the second largest 777 operator in the world. The group has also unfilled orders for 25 787s, as well as lease agreements for additional 12 787s. So if they are the second largest 777
Who is the
operator,
first? Who's the largest operator of 777s? I wonder who. That's
Somebody in the chat
It's got to
room.
be Emirates. It has to be
Yeah,
Emirates.
you're right, actually. Yeah.
Emirates have a huge fleet of 777s.
I'm sure someone in the chat room will put us right in just a moment.
I'm sure David will be
Yeah,
whizzing along looking for that now.
I'm trying to multitask.
He's
to the best of my
multitasking.
ability.
No pressure.
No, that's excellent news for definitely for Boeing, because Air France, obviously, a very popular airline, have got a big fleet, and they're sticking, because they retired their 747s earlier this year. They retired the 747-400s.
Now the 747. Here we go. This is where
That's
where
what I
myself
flew
look
to
at-
Vegas on.
Yeah,
in
right. Yeah, this is where
February.
I start to look like a monster. Now the 747 has 4 engines. Doesn't
Yes, it certainly
Yes,
does.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're retiring it because of fuel. Well, because they reckon because the fuel costs and things like that. Although fuel itself, costs of fuel and things have gone down lately. So
yes, and I mean they're an old aircraft. We've talked about the 747 before, and the airlines are retiring them because of partly because I think the fuel costs.
yeah, Neville says it is Emirates.
Yeah, and it's you can buy a 777 now or an A350 now, the XWB, and hold nearly as many passengers, but only run 2 engines.
There's some
burning
cheering
fuel.
going on in the chat room for me getting that right, by the way.
Hey! he's learning. He's learning.
I must say that the 747 is an absolutely stunning aeroplane. When you compare it to like an A380, I might be a bit biased, but the 747 is absolutely stunning. It was a shame to see them see them going, really. But
I was so happy that I got to fly on one in February with Virgin, because that was my first time on a 74, and it probably will be my last.
yeah, I've been lucky enough to fly on one as well, and I was quite young at the time, but still absolutely incredible, really, just the scale of it. And at the time when it came out, it was unlike anything else at all, really.
Yeah. It's I'm not saying that the 380 is not horrible to be in, because we've had quite a few nice flights on the A380. It's a fantastic aircraft. It just looks a bit
It's just
ugly.
unproportioned, I would say. It's just,
Actually, they're just saying in the chat room, I think that here, which is sort of quite interesting, because we're talking about Air France, and they were saying, Tony's quite rightly pointed out, it always surprises me how many Boeings Air France buy, given that they're such a patriotic nation.
Yeah, because Airbus obviously
In Toulouse,
is Toulouse in France.
absolutely,
Yeah.
It's a good point, actually.
I think from like you said in that story, that they've obviously had a good relationship with Boeing, so they're obviously
If it
going to
works,
carry it
they
on,
will
really.
fix it,
Yeah.
Because the delivery costs must be a lot cheaper for Airbus to fly.
Absolutely. Just up the road.
Sling it on the back of a UPS van and carry it.
I saw a video this week actually of the new 777 that's coming out with the foldable wingtips.
Oh,
And
yes,
I
yeah,
cannot
yeah.
wait to see that in actual production, because that's going to be absolutely stunning.
That'll look really cool. Yeah. So next story is, who's this one? I've lost my place now. Is this David's or what?
I think it's David's, yes.
It's David's.
I'll go for it.
It's David's story.
That's a picture story.
It's a picture
apparently,
story.
So I can,
Actually,
I-
before we move on to that, they were just saying they're talking about air shows in the chat room, and Jacob, who, as I say, who's joined us for the first time, he was saying that he's chatting to Ray, actually saying, I've been to the air show all day today. He took my two-year-old boy to his first air show.
Oh.
So where is it? What air show is it?
Is that
they're talking about?
Oh, that's the
I'm trying to have a look. see.
Willow.
Oh, Albion Park. Anyway. down in Albion Park, it says there. Anyway, I'm sure somebody will fill me in a moment. But it's very exciting that it's like trains, isn't it? If you're 2 years old, trains are the most amazing things, and I dare say aeroplanes are exactly the same, aren't they?
Yeah, start them young.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, turn them into AV geeks right from the start. We want listeners until we're 100 years old. Anyway, right. Yes, sorry, David.
Right, this one was from Flight Global. It's a picture story, and it's
okay. Leave it with me.
Is this LATAM or LATAM?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, anyway, they've...
How do you pronounce it? Is it LATAM or
LATAM?
LATAM.
LATAM,
Yeah.
LATAM.
So they've unveiled...
Is it an acronym for something?
I don't know.
We might find out.
Okay, yes. The chat room will correct us in a moment.
So LATAM have unveiled a new livery. So the LATAM Airlines Group has unveiled its new aircraft livery featuring its new branding. The carrier's updated livery features its new logo against an all-white fuselage and its new corporate colours of indigo and coral on the tail. LATAM will operate the first flight of an aircraft in the new livery, a Boeing 767, on a special flight from Rio de Janeiro to Geneva on the 1st of May to collect the Olympic torch ahead of Brazil hosting the Olympics this year. The aircraft will return to Brazil on the 3rd of May, where the Olympics torch relay will begin. Commercial service on the aircraft with the new livery will begin on the 5th of May, say LATAM. 767 will operate that day between Sao Paulo and Santiago, while Airbus A319s bearing the new colours will operate on Santiago to Lima and Sao Paulo to Brazil. More than 50 aircraft will be repainted in the new livery by the end of 2016, say LATAM. The entire fleet will be rebranded by 2018. The airline group will roll out the new branding in 13 airports from the 5th of May. These are Santiago, Sao Paulo, Gruhula, Lima, Brasilia, Rio de Janeiro, Galileo. Isn't that a boat?
I don't know.
Sao Paulo, Congonhas.
I thought it was Gallifrey. Perhaps that's where the doctor's from, isn't it?
Yeah. Buenos Aires, Azelia, Bogota, Quito, Miami, Madrid, Guayaquil.
We left him the best
Anyway,
story.
multiple airports,
lot of
multiple
airports.
countries
So
and places.
Yeah, you're going to see that all around the world, basically.
Anywhere in the world. Basically, you name the country, it's there.
Yeah, especially in South America, by the sounds of it. They announced a new branding in 2015, and it unites the carriers in the group formed by a merger between Chile's LAN and Brazil's TAM that closed in 2012.
Ooh, that's good.
And nice livery as well, I will say.
Yes.
The pictures you put up on the screen now while we were, while David was reading the story there. There we go. We'll put that picture there.
Are we? Oh, right. Okay.
There's one.
Yeah, sorry. There you go. Yes.
There we go. LATAM. Very corporate-y, stylish.
classy.
It's
Yeah,
quite.
so, yeah.
It's quite.
It's
See,
nice.
now I really like it because it's quite clean. Do you know what I mean? They haven't
Blends
gone,
in well
it's
with the
not
background.
overly busy. It's not overly busy. So the wingtips and everything have all been I like the two-tone thing where it's blue on one side and then red on the other. But the actual fuselage itself has just got the logo. It's sort of it's quite clean. I like clean.
Yeah, and same colours there as like British Airways. And I've always thought they look quite classy, not too busy
exactly.
or
not too noisy.
yeah, not too
absolutely.
glarish or anything.
Yeah.
Classy.
No, definitely.
So we haven't had one of these for quite some time now, but I managed to find us a top 10.
Did you? Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you and David will be taking the lead on this one then, and I shall do the usual.
I know. So it's a top 10, and it's a top 10 UK airlines,
Ooh.
and these are the top 10.
Do we have 10?
Top 10 as voted for last year, for 2015, from April, and we've got the top 10. It's it's quite a varied top 10 actually. It's surprising some of the places that these airlines have been put in, but
Yes.
But we will start at
number 10.
So at number 10, it is one of the more well-known airlines here in the UK, founded in 1962, and headquarters based at Luton Airport, and it's Thomson Airways.
Soon to be flying out of Norwich, of course.
Hopefully, yes.
At number 9.
At number 9 is Albany Air Services. They were founded in 1968 by Derek Bailey and Mark Darby. And its head office is located at Guernsey Airport in Ireland, just off the UK.
It's very difficult for me to put the picture up, Carlos, if you keep
Sorry.
moving it.
Sorry.
But anyway, on to the next one. At number 8.
At number 8, it's Logan Air. Logan Air Limited is a Scottish airline and started out as an air taxi founded in 1962 with its head office in Glasgow International Airport, Paisley, Scotland.
Ooh, at number 7
is Thomas Cook Airlines. Thomas Cook Airlines is a British charter airline founded in 2003. It's headquartered in Manchester, England, and the airline's parent group is the Thomas Cook Group.
Yes, I used to see them flying into Fuerteventura actually daily. Thomas Cook,
Indeed.
very popular airline.
At number 6.
Number 6 is Jet2.com, founded in 2002 with headquarters at Leeds, West Yorkshire, and parent group as Dart Group PLC.
Ooh, at number 5
is Monarch Airlines, founded in 1967, and it is headquartered also at Luton in the UK.
Monarch Airlines, very famous airline there. We know one of their more prestigious pilots.
Oh, do
don't
we?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Yes, no, I know who it is. I was just trying to be a little, honestly.
It's someone we all know and love anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Or do we?
Or do we?
Or do we? Anyway, number 4.
At number 4, it is Virgin Atlantic Airways Limited,
Yay.
founded in 1984.
Gosh.
By Richard Branson, with its headquarters located at Crawley in the UK.
Excellent. Number 3.
Is Flybe.
Hey.
They were founded in 1979 by Jack Walker. This was also founded in Jersey European Airways, and it was later changed to Flybe.
And they fly quite a bit out of Norwich Airport, don't they? Mostly to Amsterdam. They fly across to.
A lot smaller airports they fly to.
Number 2.
At number 2, it is our nation's flag carrier here in the UK. It is, of course,
only at number 2.
British-
This is slightly worrying.
British Airways PLC, founded in 1974 with its headquarters at Waterside, Hammondsworth in England.
And finally, at number 1.
At number 1 is EasyJet.
You look surprised, David. You look surprised.
Yeah, if you do it by sort of capita and flights and route network and things, I suppose that makes sense.
Number of passengers uplifted was let me get this right. 3,749,000. They were founded in 1995 by Stelios, as we all know.
Stelios.
That famous television programme. And it's headquartered at Luton in the UK.
See, I always find the Little Britain version,
No.
which I'm sure isn't a model of.
The picture on the I don't know why I'm going to quiz David because he'll know this one anyway. But, right, EasyJet, David. What their fleet consists of?
They are all Airbus.
What's this picture?
Is that 319 or 320?
No.
Put me on the spot here.
What's that picture there?
This is going to be a Boeing or something.
Is it?
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah.
no, you caught me out here.
yeah.
It must have been the early ones when they were Boeing. Okay.
That's one of the earlier Boeings that EasyJet used when they were first starting
I
up.
knew that really, honestly.
That's before they got rid of those and they went to an all Airbus fleet. But EasyJet number 1. Do you know?
Actually, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, of course, because at the end of the day, as you say, if you do it by hours flown and route network and passenger head count, I mean, EasyJet is the obvious choice if you think about it. But as I say, we both went, we all went like, when it's like EasyJet, because you sort of, I don't know, in your head you're convinced it's British Airways, aren't you?
Where were your favourite airline, Matt?
Well, but they're not, are they? They're Southern Island based, so they wouldn't come into the.
No, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't come under. Yeah, they're Southern Island. Yes, they're not part of the United Kingdom. We just opened that can of worms.
Pat, I expect Mr. O'Leary's now going, where was I?
Oh, I'm sure
I
he
wanted to
listens
be
to us
in
all
there.
the time. Yes, absolutely. In fact, the only reason I know he doesn't listen to us because we haven't been sued.
The floodgates have opened.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. Yes.
Right, so that is where we bring the commercial side of the news to a
indeed.
close for this week, and we've got some military news. And we've got some air show news.
Before a little bit of an interview.
And we're going to have a little chat with
indeed.
young David here
Sounds
about his career.
So it's time to put the kettle on, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be right back after these short messages.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
TheVoicesInYourHead.com. The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
And we're back. Welcome everyone back to the show. We had our tea breaks and coffee breaks and everything else breaks. And Matt has had his Delta P.
Lovely. Why do we need to tell them that?
Okay.
There's sharing and then there's. That's
so
what she said.
Big thanks to everyone. Big thanks to everyone in the chat room who has stayed with us.
Yes.
Bared with us while we had our little break there. Hello to Micah, the main man, Micah.
The main man.
We've hopefully got some very, very, very interesting plans in the pipeline coming soon to do with Mr. Micah there, and we'll keep that under wraps for the moment. I think. Yes.
Okay.
But we have got some military aviation news to bring to you this week. We've got a few stories to bring you this week, so we're going to kick off with some military aviation news. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes, I am. Yes.
And David, are you ready?
I am indeed.
Let's go. So the first story this week on Flight Global's site then is the headline is Boeing fourth and final KC-46 test aircraft takes flight. Now, we've covered these stories now for a few weeks now about the KC-46 and the teething troubles that they've had with this aircraft and getting it into action. 5 years and 2 months after being selected to build the US Air Force's new generation KC-X aerial tanker, Boeing has launched its fourth and final test aircraft of the KC-46A program. The 767-2C aircraft, which will be used for the type certification and is not currently outfitted for aerial refueling, took off from the company's wide-bodied aircraft plant in Everett, Washington, on the 25th of April and landed 1 hour and 40 minutes later at the Boeing field south of Seattle. During the flight test program, pilots performed operational engine checks, flight controls as well, environmental system checks, and took the 767-2C to a maximum altitude of 39,000 feet prior to landing at the Boeing field, says Boeing in a statement on the 26th of April. It will be used to conduct environmental control system testing, including hot day and cold day testing and smoke penetration testing. And we've got a picture here of the KC-46 there. There we go. Of it there taking off, looking very 767-y. The aircraft, dubbed the EMD-3, arrives as Boeing works feverishly to complete the Milestone C review by the Office of the Secretary of Defense that will unlock funding for the first low-rate production contract for 7 aircraft, which Boeing has already begun building on its own dime. The tanker manufacturer, which produced the US Air Force's legacy 707-based KC-135 Stratotanker and inherited a DC-10-based KC-10 from McDonnell Douglas, is also working towards a KC-46A operational test and evaluation that is expected to start in May 2017 and must separately have 18 operational KC-46As in place by August 2017 to meet a contractual obligation known as required assets available. The second 767-2C arrives as the Pegasus demonstrates aerial refueling with the Lockheed Martin F-16 and Boeing FA-18 warplanes for the first time. There's no word yet from Boeing if it has rectified a possible software issue that has so far prevented boom refueling of the large C-17 Globemaster III transport aircraft and the Fairchild Republic A-10 Warthog. The tanker experienced higher than expected boom axial loads during in-flight contact tests with the large four-engine strategic transport in January this year, and a fix is being investigated. Now, we covered that story a few episodes back, didn't we, with the boom issues.
I love that picture.
There,
I love that picture. We bring that out as for those of you listening. We're just showing on the chat room. It's the Boeing KC-46A refueling a US Navy FA-18, and it's just a cracking photo, isn't it?
The skill involved from both pilots.
For both pilots, absolutely. Because that must have a major effect on not so much for the aircraft carrying the fuel for the Boeing, but for the little fighter. I mean, that wake of
the weight vortices from the aircraft.
So difficult to keep it in especially given what you're doing with a little boom and stuff. I mean, because any minor sort of alteration, you've only got to move a few feet and, bit
of rough air, bit of turbulence.
Yeah,
it's strange that they say it's a software issue. I find it's a bit strange. Because you'd think
with
if
a
it was
boom,
software related, it wouldn't be, well, I'm not an expert, obviously, but too difficult to resolve, really, if it's a...
Yeah, well, I suppose I just got. Is it because of the way that the two are? Is that how they know that they're linked in? Is that what the problem is?
I mean, a lot of it is computer control, I'd imagine. With the system and stuff, the refueling system, but it is all manual. I mean, joining the boom with the aircraft, refueling, the aircraft refueling it is a manual. It's a very precision manual job.
Glenn's saying in the chat room, also the budget on the KC-46 is way over, apparently.
Shock.
So next story on Flight Global, Matt. This is yours.
The next story.
Worrying story, this one.
This is Flight Global again, and it is gearbox issue threatens the A400M delivery rate. Airbus Defence and Space is facing a fresh crisis on its A400M military airlifter, after problems were discovered with the power gearbox of its Europrop International EPI TP400 engines. Speaking on a 28th of April first quarter results call, Harold Wilhelm, the chief financial officer at Airbus Group, said it had launched a thorough technical and industrial evaluation to develop both short and long-term solutions to the issue. A statement issued with the financial results warns of serious challenges for production and customer deliveries of the A400M this year caused by the fault. It is also the subject of an airworthiness directive issued by the European Aviation Safety Agency, but no details were immediately available. Wilhelm says that just 2 examples of the tactical transport were handed over in the first quarter, but he declines to estimate whether it will reach its target of around 20 deliveries this year. As we speak, I cannot give you a number, he says, noting that Airbus will review the delivery planning with the supply chain and certainly also with customers. But Wilhelm admits that maintaining output will depend on the availability of compliant power gearboxes for line fit. We will not continue producing the aircraft on the A400M program if we don't know about the power gearbox. He says the immediate priority is to support customers who have in-service aircraft to allow them to operate it. Although conceding that the program has suffered another setback, Wilhelm maintains it is fundamentally different to the big crisis relating to the cracking of the TP400 propeller hubs experienced by the A400M in 2009 and 2010. As such, he feels the risk of cancellation of either complete orders or individual aircraft is very remote. I think he's being a little optimistic. It's optimistic there, if I'm honest. The power gearbox is produced by GE Aviation owned Avio Aero in Italy, and Wilhelm says he expects industrial and financial support from the company to address the problem. Wilhelm reveals no details on the nature of the fault, but Philippe Petitcolin, who is the chief executive of Safran, part of the EPI consortium, says 2 separate issues have become apparent since the beginning of the year. The first, he says, said during Safran's 3-month training update was related to manufacturing defects that have since been addressed. However, the second problem is a shorter than expected lifespan of a specific component within the power gearbox. A short-term fix will be ready in the next few weeks, while a definitive long-term solution is months instead of weeks away, says Petitcolon. Avio says its engineers are fully engaged with EPI and Airbus to solve the issue. All of us are committing considerable resources to provide all necessary technical support to ensure safe operations of the A400M fleet, it says. Separately, Airbus has also warned that adding military capabilities to the A400M remains a challenge during the ramp-up phase. The company is working with customers to agree a schedule of military capability enhancement and deliveries, it also mentions. So it's another setback, isn't it? It's another awful setback.
I mean, the aircraft is in use, obviously, with the Royal Air Force, and the French Air Force, German Air Force, and the Turkish Air Force as well. And I personally, when me and Pip had the tour around the A400M at Riyadh last year, and we took up on the flight deck and
warning, by the way, Pip is in the chat room.
Yeah,
warning everyone.
Well,
warning.
Pip will know. We got the chance to obviously see the aircraft, right through, and it was one heck of an aircraft, inside, technology-wise and stuff on the flight deck, especially with the head-up display and stuff. Have you had a chance to see the 400 up close and personal, David?
I haven't, no. I think you're very lucky to have gone on board one, especially, let alone to see one from the outside.
It was quite a challenge. You had to sort of charm your way in.
Well, Pip, I think Pip managed to sweet-talk his way for us on board the
that doesn't
the
surprise me.
Because you know what Pip's like.
Yeah,
charming. And I think, actually, I think later on that day, because Pip had his young son with him, I think he managed to get back on board for another visit on the A400M
as you do,
as well. We just might mention as well in the chat room that we have got another new listener in the chat room. Someone called Pilot Pip has joined us in the chat room.
Who I've never heard of him.
Pip is currently on location somewhere in Europe at the moment. So
I've got to ask the question here. He's saying I'm not talking to Neville after he was so mean to be on APG this week. What exactly happened?
Oh yeah. Well, you'll have to listen to ABG to appreciate that one.
Okay, all right. Fair
enough. No, I think after him and Al had been on our show a few weeks back, I think
they were horrible to him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway, back to the task at hand, and the next story. This would be with you, David. So away you go.
Thai Navy. Am I right?
Thai Navy. Yeah.
So this is from Flight Global again, and it's Thai Navy accepts first pair of H145M rotorcraft. Thailand's Navy has completed the technical acceptance of its first two H145M rotorcraft from Airbus helicopters, with the airframer now set to begin training the service's pilots on the multi-role type. Achieved at the manufacturer's Dornewörth site in Germany. Again, I've probably mullered that name, but there we go.
Works for me.
In late April, the milestone precedes final acceptance and entry into service in Thailand at the end of 2016, the company says. The lead pair of aircraft will remain in Germany to support pilot instruction from May. All 5 of the Royal Thai Navy's on-order H145Ms will be delivered to the country before the end of September, Airbus helicopters say. Powered by 2 Turbomeca Ariel 2E engines, the H145M has a maximum takeoff weight of 3.7 tonnes. Thailand's naval examples will be used to perform a variety of duties, including utility transport and search and rescue. The aircraft is equipped with cargo hooks, hoists, weather radar and an internal long-range fuel tank system. Airbus helicopters say the type has also fixed provisions for future special operations upgrade. Flight Global's Fleet Analyzer database records one H145M as already being in service with the Royal Thai Army. The service has another 11 of the type on order and has expressed an interest in acquiring a further 9.
Wow.
Look at
the
picture you had up on the screen there.
That's amazing, isn't it? It's
those colours are awesome.
It is.
I have to say,
I love it. It's a great photo again.
Because I was looking up the aircraft or the helicopter on Wikipedia, and it's in a slightly different guise to this. It's in a kind of a rescue kind of colour, but the 145. was brought actually quite an old. Well, I say old. It was 2009, but it came into service in 2002, and it's classed as a medium utility helicopter. But no, it's great. It's a great looking helicopter, that's for sure.
I should just say, going back to what we were talking about earlier, where people were being mean to poor Pip during the APG show this week. Pip was desperately trying to get to a location where he could get some reasonable Wi-Fi, and he ended up going into quite an echoey room. And there were Delta P jokes, I think, going on throughout most of the show. I think it's fair to say that. Is that not the case?
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, I think Neville was the main source of them, and Al, I don't think, helped. But
Really, what Captain Al being a bad influence on someone, I can't imagine it.
After Pip's marathon, I don't think anyone has the right to.
No, absolutely. No, good point. Actually, yeah.
We should just say actually, a huge congratulations to Pip for completing the London Marathon, because it was by no it's just a huge feat that he achieved, by doing the London Marathon.
I wonder if he'll do it again.
I don't know. Ask him. He's in the chat room.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He might do. All the people I know who've done marathons, they say they're going to do one, they'll never do it again, and then next year they end up signing up to do it again. So I don't really know what. I don't really. I don't know. I reckon he might. I reckon he might get a taste for it. He might get a bit of a bug for it.
We'll see.
But and well done on your big.
Yeah, because Pip raised a huge mate. Yeah, he went past. He actually went past his target. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, well done, Pip. Yeah,
well done to everyone who chipped in. Bless him. But
well done.
Yeah, that was yes. Anyway, sorry. Yes.
So the next story on the Royal Air Force site. This one, and the headline: New season begins for 2006 Red Arrows. So the Red Arrows are set to inspire millions of people in 2016 after the aerobatic team was given formal approval to perform this year. Following months of training, the Royal Air Force aerobatic team was formally awarded its Public Display Authority, PDA, earlier this week.
Was it actually in doubt, though, seriously?
I know. I mean, they're never not going to be...
Can you imagine the Red Arrows not being allowed to fly? I mean, it just...
It's their final assessment then before the Red Arrows are allowed to begin their latest season. The team, which showcases the excellence of the Royal Air Force and represents the United Kingdom, will now embark on its 52nd year of displaying to the public, performing to millions of individuals across the country and overseas. Squadron leader David Montenegro, team leader and Red One, said that Public Display Authority is a very important day in the Red Arrows calendar, as it signifies the end of many months of training. We reflect on the efforts of the whole team that have gone into accomplishing the accolade of being ready to display for the UK and global public. Everyone on the Red Arrows has a role to play in our winter training months, and we have 18-year-old technicians who are on their first detachment with the team. Indeed, within the Royal Air Force, and who are owning their engineering skills throughout the past months and have enabled the aircrew to fly our aircraft. They are also squadron transport drivers who have covered thousands of miles delivering spare parts for aircraft around the UK and mainland Europe. Furthermore, there are two new team pilots, Red 2 and Red 3 in short. PDA is a combination of teamwork and more than 150 demanding training sorties.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you there. The main man, Mr. Micah, was just put in the chat room. He said, "Now the flying team I would like to see is Jeff, Pip, Al, and Nick flying in formation in each of their respective aircraft. I think that would be a sight to behold.
I'd like to see that. Yeah.
Absolutely, I'd pay money for that.
We could be onto something here.
We could be actually. It could be the sort of like the PT UK sponsored flying team.
We could have a name on the side.
Yeah. They could spell it. They could spell out PT UK in like smoke and stuff like that. By that I don't mean because the aircraft's on fire, but because they've had retrofitted, like that.
I think Jeff's might be rotting out in smoke, but
yeah.
Sorry, Jeff.
Poor old Mad Dog. The poor old Mad Dog.
Absolutely.
I could just see those engines producing lovely black trails and plumes behind.
Now.
And then we can have skydivers coming out as they jump out of the.
Mind you, saying that actually, it's not just Mad Dogs that would produce the plumes of smoke. I mean, obviously Captain Nick flies the A340. Obviously, with the engine failures and stuff, and that he'd be also producing plumes
Very
of
true.
smoke.
Very
and stuff.
true. Yeah, we're going to start something here. Aren't we?
We better stop.
Yeah, Jacob's saying we've got to add Carlos into it with his little Cessna. And then
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Following behind.
I'll produce some barrel rolls. Probably.
Morning
actually.
to Sophie, by the way.
Oh, dear. Carlos will be pleased she's in the chat room because I think he wants to borrow her for ages.
Oh, hello, Sophie.
Yes. Oops.
Yes. Who is that Sophie? Who is that Sophie?
I don't know. Yeah.
She
I still have that clip, by the way.
Yeah,
I keep
you
it
do,
for
yeah.
special occasions.
Fair play. She was freezing as well that
Yeah,
day.
we were all freezing that day. Yeah. Actually, ironically, I was the only one. We're talking about our 100th episode. David joined us at just outside Norwich Airport at the museum there, and actually, I was the only one who wasn't frozen all day because I say, stuck inside the Vulcan, obviously pressing all the buttons while he was doing his interviews.
Horrible.
It was horrible. It was lovely and warm. Yeah. Anyway, the poor long-suffering Sophie.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So next story on the Royal Air Force's site again.
Yes, indeed. Oh, is it me? Is it? All right.
It's
Oh,
you.
sorry. You mean I've got?
We're saving the last story for our guest.
Okay,
We're saving the last
Yes,
story
so
for the guest.
This is the Royal Air Force website again, so it's raf.mod.uk, and the headline is RAF jets fly on Baltic policing mission. So the UK has taken up a leading role policing the skies over the Baltic states to deter threats such as aggression from Russia, which is a story we hear more and more of these days. Defence Secretary has announced today that 4 Royal Air Force RAF Typhoons flying with the flying from the Amari base in Estonia will join the NATO Baltic Air Policing Mission until the end of August. That's the BAP. The jets, alongside pilots and engineers, will be on a 24/7 standby to launch a quick reaction alert, QRA, in response to any aggression directed from Russia or others. 2 of the 4 Typhoons will be ready to take off at a moment's notice to provide security to the airspace over Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. This deployment underlines our commitment to the sovereignty of democratic nations of Eastern Europe. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For the next 4 months, our RAF Typhoons will be ready to respond instantly to Russian aggression in Baltic airspace. This is the 3rd consecutive year that the UK has committed to BAP after rotations in 2014 and 2015. Last time, Typhoon fighters were scrambled 17 times and intercepted over 40 Russian aircraft during one launch last July. The Typhoons intercepted 10 separate Russian aircraft, including 8 fighters. Wing Commander Gordon Melville, commanding officer of 140 thanks for that, Carlos.
Sorry, that's me. Move the mouse.
I've no idea where the story was, but anyway, you get the idea. Basically, they've been based in Estonia again for this year as well.
For Baltic policing missions. This is good because obviously the Russians have been toying with us now for a few months.
Yeah, you do wonder what's going on, really, don't you?
We had the flyby they done of the American warships, didn't we?
Yes,
the Russian jets
that was
buzzed.
really quite aggressive, though, wasn't it?
I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I really don't know what that was all
Yeah,
about.
I'm glad they're doing it. Obviously, they're being taking precautions, but it's slightly unnerving, really. That
you can't help but feel
know.
that something is in the air. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm sure he wouldn't be that silly, but you just don't know, do you?
You never know, do you?
So actually, the last story is kind of follows along those lines.
Oh, does it?
And it's
get
all
you with your forward
it's all
planning.
I know. I tell you,
Anyone would have thought this was a planned show rather than all thrown together the night before.
So, David, this one's all for you. The last story, then.
Right, so this one is from thetelegraph.co.uk, and it is Russian jet fighter did a barrel roll over a US reconnaissance plane, as Carlos was just saying.
Yeah.
A Russian Sukhoi Su-27 jet fighter did a barrel roll over a US reconnaissance plane in international airspace, CNN said on Friday, citing 2 US defense officials in the Baltic Sea region. CNN said the Russian fighter came within about 100 feet of the American reconnaissance plane as it performed the dangerous high-speed maneuver. A Pentagon statement later reportedly clarified that the Russian plane had come within 25 feet of the American plane. This unsafe and unprofessional air intercept has the potential to cause serious harm and injury to all aircrews involved, Pentagon spokesman Commander Bill Urban said in a statement. More importantly, the unsafe and unprofessional actions of a single pilot have the potential to unnecessarily escalate tensions between countries, he said. The incident comes amid increasingly aggressive Russian military behaviour toward Western countries. Russian jets buzzed a US warship in the Baltic Sea earlier this month.
Indeed, yes, it's sort of worrying times, really. But we probably shouldn't talk about that too much because we don't really know what's going on.
Don't want to get in trouble, do we?
No, indeed, it's needless to say, it's as I say, something I don't know what's going on.
I remember watching.
I think all they're doing is just testing the water and flexing their muscles. But you know.
But I remember when the jets buzzed the US warship a week ago. And I remember the video someone put on Facebook or YouTube,
right.
And it was of the guys on board the US warship filming the Russian jets flying past with their mobile phones,
God.
and they were laughing and sort of giggling into each other.
Yeah, very
these jets,
wasn't it?
it was very light-hearted. There was no sirens going off or warnings or missile launchers turning to fire at these aircraft.
Presumably they were aware that there was no lock on
Well,
or anything
yeah,
like that. Because I mean, presumably there's the equipment that it would have been a different story.
Yeah,
I think
you'd assume so.
Yeah, absolutely. There'd been sort of jam locks or something like that going on. But I should just say, while that story was going on, I've been reading the chat room here. Great amusement about our new flying formation team that we mentioned to earlier. A couple of names for the group of aeroplanes is coming. One is Innuendo Airways. I think that's quite appropriate as a new flying formation coming soon to a display near you. I think is the best way to describe that. And I quite like Evans. Actually, Evans is my favourite. TWSS Airlines.
That's what she said.
Absolutely,
I like that.
I think that's a definite winner. But I think there's merit in this. It's like the flying formation team of you, Captain Jeff, Pip.
I mean, we had the story that early, didn't we, about that start-up airline? Was it Air 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's to say we couldn't start our own airline up?
Everyone's doing it nowadays. So
yeah,
why not?
absolutely.
Why
We
not?
could
Yeah,
find
yeah.
some old sort of.
Got a few
I don't
million
know.
kicking around, have you? I mean,
Yeah, well, I intend on winning the lottery tonight. So
do
that's,
you? Right, good.
So that's
Splendid.
good.
Oh,
yeah.
our custom-built studio, rather like Nev's, could be a reality. Then.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. We all live in hope. Yeah, Innuendo. What's that called? Oh no, I'm not going to repeat that. It was Micah, behave.
Honestly, Micah.
I can't read that out. I really can't read that out.
I tell you, for those of you guys and girls who listen to the audio podcast, you really need to get onto YouTube on a Saturday morning and check out the chat room in here because these listeners in here are a crazy bunch and they do have some rather interesting things to say.
Indeed, absolutely. Yes, that's why you catch me laughing randomly in the middle of a very serious story because of something somebody's put in the chat room.
So we've got a little snippet of some the air shows that are going on in
so we're going to be focusing
UK.
on May, obviously, because that's only a couple of days away.
Yeah. So May then, so we've got, so it's Saturday the 30th actually, which is today, and tomorrow, which is the 1st of May, it's the Atomic Vintage Festival at Sywell Airdrome in Northamptonshire.
Lovely.
They've got rock and roll music, they've got market stalls, and all sort of flying and stuff from different aircraft. And old vintage cars as well, which is quite good.
And as Dan in the chat room, Dan Hannington mentioned in the chat room at the start of the show, actually, on the 1st of May, this is Sunday, it's the first of what we like to refer to probably as the bigger of the air shows, being the Abingdon Air and Country Show. And that's one of the first major shows of the year is the Abingdon Air and Country Show. The show has grown into a well-respected event, attracting a wide range of different displays from the military and civilian worlds. And that's, as I say, that's on the 1st. So that starts tomorrow.
On the 8th of May in the UK, we've got the Shuttleworth Season Premiere Air Show. The Shuttleworth, a very popular air show here in the UK. It's at the Old Warden Aerodrome in Bedfordshire. And they've got quite a good lineup for this their first premiere air show for this year, including the Red Arrows, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. They've also got the Bristol Blenheim there. They've also got they've got a lot of display aircraft. They've got some 330 extras. They've also got a de Havilland DH-88 Comet there as well. And a whole list of Bristol F-2B fighter, an Avro 504K. They've also got an Avro triplane there and a Bristol box kite. I haven't seen one of those for a few years. Yeah. And that's at the Shuttleworth Season Premiere Air Show, which is on Sunday, the 8th of May.
Indeed. On the Saturday, the 14th and 15th of May, we have the I'm not even sure how to pronounce
Mary's?
that. Mary's Stowe Mary's Fly-In. So it's www.stowmaries.org.uk. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. It's the opening aviation event of the year at Stowe Mary World War I Aerodrome. And the participating aircraft so far is the Bristol Scout, the Sopwith Snipe, and the Albatross DVA, and they've got the RAF and BE2E there as well. So 21st of May is at home with the Shuttleworth Air Show, and that's one of the most exciting aspects of Shuttleworth, is being able to get up close to the aircraft and vehicles. So this year's At Home is replacing our traditional evening air show.
And moving on, Saturday the 28th of May, the Sky Live Air Show at Durham Tees Valley Airport in County Durham. And they've got the Red Arrows are going to be there as well. They've got a busy season this year. They've also got Eurofighter Typhoon there as well from 29th Squadron. And also the BBMF, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, are going to be there on the 28th and 29th of May.
Yes.
It's the American Air Show.
I think we should see if we can get to this.
That's at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford, Cambridgeshire, here in the UK. That's going to be an absolutely awesome day. There's a massive list of aircraft participating there at there, including the Red Arrows and also the Patrouille de France, who are going to be there on Saturday only, the display team. The Sally B will obviously be there. That's because the Duxford Aviation Museum is obviously the home of the B-17G, the Flying Fortress Sally B.
Yeah.
There's also be some P-51 Mustangs there, some Spitfires. Obviously the de Havilland DH-89 Dragon Rapides will be doing their flights there during the day as well, which members of the public can go up and have a flight on as well, which I done last year, which was awesome to go on one of those. And just a massive array of aircraft going to be there.
I was actually, as I say, Mike was just saying in the chat room, he was always wanted to go to the museum in Duxford, and if you do get the chance, it's a fantastic museum. Don't waste your time with the ones in London, honestly.
No.
The Imperial War Museum in London, for me, as I've said before, has been absolutely ruined by the alterations they made to it, for me personally. So that's a superb museum.
That's the end of this month, 28th, 29th.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm not working, we'll go there. We'll chat.
Go there.
We'll chat. We'll see if we can
drive,
persuade them to let us come and do a show from there.
Also, just one before we finish this part of the show, on the 29th of May. There's a really good one. It's the Cold War Jets Open Day. And this is at Bruntingthorpe Proving Ground in Lutterworth, Leicestershire. The days are open to the public. The gates open at 9, and they taxi the aircraft. There's some of the really old Cold War jets that they've got there. I haven't been there actually yet. So have you been to Bruntingthorpe?
No, I haven't.
David?
No. I've been to Cosford and Duxford, the most recent ones I've been to, but I've been to Bruntingthorpe. No.
No, it's supposed to be a really good day there. So that's on the 29th of May this year. So there we go. That's some airshow news for this week. Obviously, there's loads more airshows going on throughout the UK and Europe as well. Yep. During 2016, we'll give you news on those. Don't forget as well, me and Matt this week had our very kindly our media accreditation given to us by Farnborough.
Very exciting.
For the Farnborough Air Show this year. They very kindly accepted us, and they're sending us our various shiny ID badges through the post soon for the air show this year. So me and Matt will be at Farnborough International, which is obviously where we're going to meet up with the APG crew. Jeff, Steph and Rick hopefully will be there as well, and also Captain Al.
Nice to meet them in person, actually.
Yeah, Captain Al will be there as well. He's Captain Al's actually staying in the same hotel as me and Matt.
Oh no.
Which will be
Don't
interesting.
tell me that. Oh no.
We're hoping that Pip will be able to come as well. That will kind of
if he's got any sense, he'll stay away.
Oh. So that should be good. And also we are just waiting to hear back from the guys at the Royal International Air Tattoo at Fairford in Gloucestershire for RIAT this year. We hopefully will be. We've got
be there on Sunday, aren't we?
our accreditation, media accreditation for that show as well. So we'll be there with our usual T-shirts on and stuff. So if any of you guys,
you are at any of those air shows, then do
come and see us.
Come and say hello. We like to meet our listeners.
Yeah, we definitely like to meet. We met Matty Fab.
Yeah.
last year
Oh, did we?
at RIAT. Yeah, me and Pip had a sit down and chat with Matty
cool.
Fab at RIAT last year.
And Dan, of course, Dan was
And
there
Dan,
as well.
we met Dan
Hannington,
Hannington as well at RIAT last year. Yeah, he was awesome to talk to, and also to get some camera tips off as well. Anyone who wants to know anything about aerial photography, or taking photos of aircraft in the air,
Well, I think it's
please
safe to say
do
that after,
find Dan.
Yeah,
find
I can say
Dan.
it's safe to say after your little chat with Dan, your photographs are actually worth looking at now.
I
which is
know.
great
I know.
news. It's a really improvement.
Actually,
Yeah.
Matt is not too wrong there.
No.
So if you want to check out some of the photos from Dan Hannington, if you take yourself over to Instagram and type in DH_aviation_photography, you'll find Dan Hannington's photos on there of aircraft, and they are amazing. We were talking to David actually before we started the show, and we were just saying that we just don't know how Dan gets some of these photos, because they look like he's laying underneath the aircraft as they fly over. So
yeah, there must be some incredible lens work.
Yeah,
involved
I know.
there.
I think Dan's lens probably cost the same as my house. I
Right,
imagine,
okay. Oh, good. Lovely. Anyway, enough of this. It is time now to grill our guest.
Yes. So we have
Be afraid.
obviously.
Be very afraid.
I know. We have had obviously a guest in the studio with us today, and David's been very kind to join us on the show.
Yeah.
For those of you who watched the 100th episode of Plane Talking UK, which we've done at the Aviation Museum at Norwich in the Vulcan, David came along with his partner Sophie and joined us to brave the cold. And obviously, not only is David a massive fan of all things that fly, but he's also heading off to a certain flight training school in the UK.
Indeed, I am.
And so tell us a bit about that, then, David.
So basically, in June this year, so only a couple of months' time, I'll be heading off to CTC Aviation in Southampton. And I'm down there doing all my ground school bits and bobs until December, about Christmas time. And then in, January next year, I then head over to New Zealand to actually do some flying.
Wow.
New Zealand?
Yes, New Zealand, Hamilton Airport in New Zealand, where I actually get to take to the skies.
Wow.
Very cool.
Wow. So how did all this start then, David?
It's a bit of a strange one. I mean, like everyone, I'm sure that's listening and in the chat room and everything, I've had an interest in planes and flight simulator and plane spotting and anything plane related. And I didn't think, I should say, that I could pursue the dream really of becoming a pilot until I kind of looked into it about, I guess it was 18 months ago now. I looked into it more thoroughly and realised it is actually possible, and I went to lots of different open days at lots of different places, went through numerous selections, medicals, and I've got in. So the future starts here.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it, because obviously there's a cost implication to learning to fly, as I know myself, but what are the kind of rough sort of
I've got
costs as
no
such?
qualms really about talking about it. I don't think it's a bit of a taboo subject, but
Yeah.
I tallied it up this morning before I came here. And
Oh dear, I bet you wish you hadn't now. Yeah.
Basically, the cost of my training is £88,800 to be precise.
Wow.
Yeah,
Lie down,
I'm just
everyone.
going to go and lie.
So
in a
do
hole.
you have to fund that yourself? I mean,
It's-
is there a kind of a scheme or something that you
It's
can
basically it's kind of called self-funded, but obviously I don't have that kind of money laying around. So it's a huge loan, really, or more of a mortgage that I have to take out. Really to pay for it.
Gosh.
Or to pay for most of it. Some of it can be done from savings if you've saved a little bit of money, but the majority of it is a loan, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you done much flying at the
This is
moment?
I was
Is
kind of
this-
dreading this question because I was in Air Cadets all through my teenage years, and then but didn't get the chance to fly with Air Cadets, so we were a bit stingy with my squadron. And then before I went to all this, I did a taster lesson at Cambridge because I thought that I'm not going to go to any kind of selection days having not flown. So I did a couple of taster sessions at Cambridge Airfield and went up in a 172 there. But that is it for now. And
Really?
I kind of feel like I'm doing it a disjustice saying that, because I know a lot of people have got PPLs and everything and go into this, but this is the kind of scheme where you can go into it. Having not flown any experience, really, I didn't want to go with having none, but it is a 0-2 to pilot scheme.
Yeah, because a lot of people like Matty Fab, as you know, he got his PPL and he's now moving on to train for his kind of commercial. His
Yeah, a lot of
ATPL.
people did it that way, but I must say, I mean, I would if I'd have had a bit more got into it a bit younger, I think that would have been the best way to go about it, certainly. But there was a lot of people. In fact, on my selection day, which was crazy, there was only one other person that had actually flown before, and the others hadn't even flown at all, which I found incredible.
I'm amazed, yeah.
I felt
comforting.
Almost,
yeah.
Well, I kind of felt guilty, and I feel guilty for the people that have invested time
Yeah.
and effort into doing it, and there's me kind of going along saying, I'd love to be a pilot and everything, with very limited experience, really.
So what are the kind of things at CTC, what are they going to train you there? What's the kind of syllabus?
So the syllabus is, as you'll know, because you're doing the exams at the moment, the PPL exams, it's the 80 PL exams, and I do pretty much, in 6 months, I do the 14 exams. I won't go through all of them, but it's just like all the exams that you can imagine, and that's done in a 6-month block. So it's just 6 months of pure ground school for 6 months, getting all those out of the way. And that it takes me from June till Christmas time, and then after that it is the actual flying in New Zealand, where we go through all those like single engine flying and then multi-engine failure stalls, everything like that.
Wow.
Actually, Mulla's just saying in the chat room that it's actually more common than you think. Essentially, is what she's saying. Is pretty common. Loads of applicants have very little experience when they arrive, so don't feel guilty about it. Essentially,
yeah, it is. I kind of do feel a little bit because it's just, I think it's a big thing to go into. I'm not taking it lightly, the amount of money that's involved and the time. It's not something you can just be like, oh, I fancy being a pilot today, I'll go to CTC. I did do a huge amounts of research into it, and costs, even though it's a huge amount, but ways around it and ways to get through, really.
Yeah, because there are other flight schools, obviously, in the UK.
Yeah.
But CTC are probably the ones that I I've heard of through the publications that I read and online, and everyone's heard of CTC.
CTC were my first choice, and the major part of that was because of the links they have with their partner airlines. I mean, a lot of people will have heard people talking about their MPL schemes, which are run airline specific. I think British Airways, Virgin, EasyJet, that's just a few of them. They all run their MPL schemes through CTC. So for me, that spoke a lot about that the airlines trust the training that CTC provide. Yeah. So therefore, it kind of stands you in quite good stead.
So I think, well, let's go to the horse's mouth,
yeah,
as it were.
If they trust them, they must be half good, really.
So once you've finished the training, obviously you've done the bits with CTC, you'll do all those exams and stuff, and then you go to New Zealand and do the multi-engine bits and pieces. After all that,
New Zealand, by the way?
But there's a few reasons, really. Airspace is a bit of a problem in the UK.
Right, fair enough. Bit cosy, yeah.
Yeah, and also the weather. It's kind of slightly... you
More
can't rely on it,
yeah.
really. Yeah, if you have to do a certain amount of flying in a small amount of time, you can't, as Carlos will know, you can't rely on English weather.
No,
I mean, CTC send cadets to Hamilton in New Zealand and also Phoenix in Arizona, both for the same reasons, really, the weather and the airspace. Yeah.
So after you've been to New Zealand, you've done your multi-engine stuff, what happens then? Where do you come back to the UK?
We then come back, we fly a few flights out of Bournemouth Airport, which is what CTC used down there, and then also most of my time then is a few months spent in the simulators, full motion simulators at CTC.
Wow.
Doing, I can't actually remember what they call it, but it's like a jet orientation course, so it was their equivalent of it, really.
We've got a question in the chat room then from a young chap called Pilot Pip, and
young.
And Pip has asked, do you plan to buy a type rating on completion at CTC?
Now, what do you mean by that? Somebody explain that to me.
The type rating is like aircraft specific, so I can come out of CTC being a fully fledged qualified pilot, or nearly, but you're not actually qualified to fly any particular planes. You then need to do a type rating on an A320 or a 737.
Okay.
You're going to be type rated on a certain plane, so you don't come out and then you're a pilot. You have to pay extra.
Yeah,
so I'll answer the question. I would love to say no, I don't want to. Obviously, I don't want to, but the reality is that a lot of airlines now, or certainly the entry cadet pilots like I will be, are having to pay for their own type rating, unfortunately. A few of them, if you get lucky, are like underwriting the loans that you have to take out on top.
Blimey.
But yeah, it is something that's certainly to consider that will have to be done afterwards.
It is a huge financial undertaking.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge.
It so is. I mean, it, as you said, it is like just buying a house. You know, it's.
I literally all these forms I was filling in is like it says mortgage application at the top, and it just scares very, very scary stuff. But I mean, it's just it's a complete dream of mine and something that I've kind of weighed up in long enough, really, that I'm going to have to go for it, really.
So Tony S. in the chat room, another question for you, David. Where do you see yourself in aviation in 10 years' time?
In 10 years' time?
Hopefully. Fingers
Hopefully, all being well, yes.
I mean, straight out of CTC, I'll have to, well, not have to, but I would be aiming for jobs, I should say, with the carriers such as EasyJet and Ryanair, because there's only a few carriers which take cadets with very, very, very few hours. It won't have a peak of jobs. So I'll have to sort of earn my full ATPL there. And then in 10 years' time, with a few more hours under my belt, I would like to think I would be at a larger airline, really. I'm not too picky. I'd love to work for a UK-based airline, but I realise that if there isn't jobs around, I may have to go elsewhere. But if I could be working for a UK-based airline,
so someone like Virgin or
Virgin,
BA, that
BA
sort of
would be
thing,
absolutely amazing. That would be incredible. But there we go.
So
we
that's
can
the
but
dream.
dream.
That's the dream essentially.
We
is
can
to
but dream.
actually sort of essentially do well. What Captain Pilot Pip and Captain Jeff and that sort of thing.
I don't know.
You know,
A few
Captain
people
Nick.
in the chat room might know. You don't get a full ATPL until you've done 1,500 hours.
Blimey.
So that's actually
really
impossible to do during the time that I'll be training. So you have to get taken on as a cadet, not having a full license, a full ATPL, so to speak. So there isn't many, I couldn't just go around the world with my brand new frozen ATPL and apply for a job. I need to go to an airline that will let me get the hours up, such as those that like EasyJet and Ryanair and the smaller airlines, really.
Jacob Darlington Brown in the chat room has asked, Sir, do you do your ATPL exams first?
Let me just read that. So we do the 14 exams before we even step foot in a plane. Basically, the ground school in Southampton is just exams. I think there's pretty much 6 months solid of just exams.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't wait.
And Glenn Towler's put in the chat room as well. He's put the weather should be good from January onwards. He's in New Zealand.
That's what I was thinking. That's good planning there, I think.
Well, that kind of makes sense, as you say, because the one thing. I mean, the amount. We were saying it earlier, but like the one thing that always goes up against you every time you try to go up there
is the
you
weather.
are so reliant on the weather. So you can put the time aside. You've booked the plane. You've got your instructor all lined up, and then you have a few days like what we've had here, where it's been either frozen or chucking it down with snow in April, as only the UK knows how, and of course all that planning, and then so you're no further forward.
I mean, our flying school operates a system where we have an online booking system where you can go online, sign in, and you can book a date and a time slot with your instructor of choice. And I always go ahead, book those dates, put them a week in advance, and 9 times out of 10. The day before it's glorious, like it is outside today, sunshine, and then the following day it's snowing.
Yes,
typical England for you.
It seems like everything to do with flying is kind of is hampered in some way.
I have heard a few people say that I've been through CTC and other training organisations that have flown abroad, especially in America or wherever, in really nice weather, that they do come back to England and they're like, oh, there's a cloud. Oh, what do I do with the cloud? And if you do experience
What's one of those?
different kinds of weather that maybe you wouldn't experience elsewhere, but it's all good experience, isn't it?
Well, there's lots of comments in the chat room where people saying sort of good luck, David. So everybody's rooting for you, and obviously we will keep you up to date if David allows with progress. One of the questions they were saying in here was, do you know actually how much it costs for a type rating? Just out of interest.
Please do not quote me on this.
No,
I know that different airlines could charge you different amounts, but I would say in the region of between £20,000 and £30,000.
Flipping heck.
Wow.
And breathe.
That's a car. That's a nice Audi.
It's a very nice car.
That's a nice car.
Absolutely,
Myla's put in the chat room, did you choose the MPL or ATPL route?
Yeah, so my ATPL, so the MPL is airline specific, the ATPL is non-airline specific, as probably most of you know, and I think I would have preferred an MPL route if I'm completely honest, and had prepared myself, should I say, right from the school. I think one of the best routes to go to is probably an MPL because of the security you get. It's airline specific, and although you're not guaranteed a job at the end, you know that you're very likely to get the job at the end because the airline has picked you basically. Whereas with mine, I go through the training and hope to find a job at the end, basically. So I think the MPL, because of the costs involved, is probably I wouldn't say wiser, but You kind of have a bit more security.
Perhaps less risk.
Yeah, there is slightly less risk, Although it is airline specific, so you can't, if you've done, let's say, a Virgin MPL, you'll then have to do, I think, some kind of different course to fly for a different airline.
Right. Yeah. Tony S has asked a really good question actually in the chat room, David.
Yeah, that's good.
What sacrifices have you had to make to do what you're doing?
Yeah, well, Sophie's in the chat room.
Absolutely. Let's all ask Sophie. Let's wait for Sophie to come back with a reply. What are the sacrifices?
I'm kind of in a good position in that I don't have a mortgage or kids or a wife or anything as yet, so I don't have those financial ties at the moment to kind of hold me back. Obviously the money is a huge undertaking, but I don't have to worry about, like I say, paying for wife, children, mortgage, anything like that. So I'm obviously jobs I have to leave behind, but to better myself really, but nothing. I can see people in those positions where you can't.
Essentially,
leave.
if you're going to do it, essentially now really is the time.
Yeah, I guess younger.
If you're going to live the dream, if you like. Then,
younger is better. I mean, I'm 27 now, so I think any older than this, I'd have been a bit having second thoughts about it. I thought if I don't do it now, I never will. So now's the time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sophie has replied in the chat room.
Yeah. I think she's being very polite.
And Pip has put good luck.
I
did
did feel. I know that Pip and Al have everything was spoken about these schemes, and not always favourably, I might say. And I completely understand where they're coming from, because the modular route that others have gone through might give you a better kind of grounding in the business and as a career. But this scheme has proven track record really with schemes like this, and there's huge amounts of money, and I do see that there's obviously less experience from the cadet pilots when they come through, and only time will tell really if that is a bad to the pilots, but it is a scheme and they do have very good success rates. So, but I do understand really with what Pip's saying about the schemes.
Have you sort of thought at all, David, about sort of going along the lines of kind of what Pip does? Because obviously Pip works for SafeJet, who are a kind of bizjet kind of. Have you sort of thought of possibly that kind of avenue, business jet?
I would absolutely love to, but I think they're in the same position where it's that 1,500 hours that I would need really. Getting that first job straight out of training, not having 1,500 hours, I think is going to be one of the main struggles. And I know I'm going to have to be flexible, and I'm not really picky with sort of who I'd work with. It's just about hour building. And once I get those hours up to 1,500, I wouldn't say you have choice of jobs, but you certainly have more options open to you.
So when you finish the course, how many hours will you have essentially under your belt?
Approximately 250 hours of flying, really, so not a huge amount.
In New Zealand, wow.
In New Zealand. There's a few hours in Bournemouth, but mostly in New Zealand.
New Zealand.
And New Zealand is one of the most beautiful places I've ever had the privilege
I think
to visit.
Glenn Tale will agree with that, I think. Definitely in the chat room,
Yeah, it is.
So, sort of lastly, then, sort of rounding up then, questions kind of we normally ask at this time of the day. Given the choice, David, of any aircraft in the world, either flying or retired or not with us anymore, if someone said to you, "Here, your license is here, you can fly, you can do anything you like," what would you like to jump into?
All that, so you can jump to
anything at all. It could be commercial or military or GA.
To me, I think it's always been iconic is the 747. Whether it's right from the first days right to the Dash 8 now and the 800, I think that kind of, to me, when I was growing up, was like a thing, the queen of the skies. That is the epitome of an aeroplane, really, to me. And I probably will never get the chance to fly one because they're all being phased out. But to me, that's the be all and end all. Yeah, it really is.
Wow. And airline, if you could go jump into an airline now and go and work for them.
Oh, if I could work for an airline, I hadn't thought about that one. Who's listening? I think I'd probably say
very diplomatic. Well done.
No, I think British Airways or any other of them huge ones. Really, that there's stability. Really, I think you'd get with airlines like
Etihad,
that.
any one of those. The big players, if you like.
Any of those big players, really.
Obviously, Nick is listening, so
Virgin would be absolutely incredible.
Well, as I say, I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone who's listening right now or in the chat room and everything. We all wish you the very best of luck.
Yes, we do.
What is a crazy project.
And please do keep us up to date with all your flying and stuff.
I've started writing a blog, and I'm trying to think of a name for it, so it hasn't been published
Ooh,
yet. When
okay,
I do, I'll let you guys know.
We'll pass it. We'll open
and
that up to the chat rooms. If anybody's got any ideas for David's blog,
there's
keep it family friendly, children.
There's a few websites. There's a few websites I've kind of reserved, but I'm not sure yet which
one
I'll
you're going to decide.
But when it's out, I'll let you know, and
Lovely.
hopefully I'll keep putting things on there.
Okay.
Excellent.
There may even be a podcast in the offing. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, perhaps while you're in New Zealand, when you get out there, David, we could perhaps link up with you via
we'll do all that.
Skype and stuff.
I'd love to.
So we will make it our mission to monitor your progress.
Oh yeah,
and share it with
it'll be an
listeners,
honour and a pleasure, really. Whenever through the exams and the flying, it'll be brilliant.
Well, thank you very much, David. That is where we bring episode number 110 to a close. It's been a good old show, hasn't it?
It's been a lovely show.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
it's been really good. And it's
good.
sunny outside and everything.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, David, how's it been then? Come on, you've jumped into the fire here with us here in the studio.
My nerves are finally calmed, I think, by this point in the show. But no, I've got utmost admiration for everything that's going on in here in the kitchen studio. It's just a studio, really. But thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you for driving over here. It's nice to have a guest in the studio, actually. Yeah,
I know.
Fun. Anytime. Good fun.
Good. Yeah, maybe not when you're in New Zealand, eh?
Maybe not.
Absolutely. But when you're type rated, you fly over here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll fly
Come
to
and land at Norwich. Yeah.
You've got low. I mean, you can see in the chat room and in front of you, David. There's lots of people there wishing you good luck.
Thank you to
for the
everyone. Really,
future.
it's incredible to hear that. Really, it's
from all around the globe as well.
Indeed.
Exactly, incredible stuff.
So, as Matt said, that is where we're going to bring episode 110 of the Plain Talking UK podcast to a close. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat room for joining us today, early in the morning for some of you guys, or late at night for some of you guys as well. But no, thanks for everyone in the chat room who's there, and really appreciate it. And don't forget to join us next Saturday for our next show. And we'll put the links, as always, in on Facebook. So, Matt, where can people find us if they don't already know?
If you don't already know, the usual places. So, find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/PlainTalkingUK. Twitter, our Twitter handle is @PlainTalkingUK. YouTube.com/PlainTalkingUK. The website, www.plaintalkinguk.com. And, of course, let's not forget, you can find us, you can email us directly with podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. And we love to get your audio feedback. If you want to leave us some audio feedback, but maybe find that doing it, sort of emailing it to us and stuff, is a little bit perhaps beyond your remit, why not use your mobile phone? If you've got a telephone, you're able to phone the UK and it doesn't cost you a lot. I know a lot of people now have sort of tariffs and things where you can phone from the States to the UK, etc., for next to nothing. Our telephone number, if you want to phone us in the studio, is 01223 911 355. If you're phoning outside of the UK, that would be +44 1223 911 355. If we aren't here to answer your call in person, that sometimes may happen, because when I'm parked up, I will often be signed in. You can just leave us a voicemail, and as I say, if you want to leave us some audio feedback, we can include it in next week's show.
And just for the benefit of Tony S in the chat room.
Oh no. Yes, the old grey fund. Of course you can do that. Let's not forget that Patreon is a major part of what helps to keep this show on the air, and if you go to patreon.com/PlainTalkingUK, you can find our Patreon links there. All the links that you need are on our website, www.plaintalkinguk.com.
Yes, don't forget, we really do appreciate all our Patreon donors, and that does obviously help to pay for all our server fees, hosting fees, website fees, and also the equipment and our travelling costs to the air shows for this year.
Two big ones this year.
The two big ones this year. And also our trip we have got planned for...
Which we can't tell anyone about.
Which we can't tell anyone about, because it's all a very big secret.
Very exciting.
But David knows all about it, so
so
there we go.
Hush, hush.
Oh, we turn it off now. Everyone's getting a bit too comfortable.
I know, absolutely, yes. A smoking jacket on, pipe, slippers, the lot. Yes. So, come on, time to wrap up, boys
So that's
and
it
girls.
then. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us on the show, and don't forget to join us next week for another thrilling instalment of the Plain Talking UK podcast.
Steady on, old chap.
So from me, Carlos, it is a wonderfully sunny goodbye from me.
From David?
It is a very, very sunny, surprisingly sunny. A goodbye from me. Where am I? There I am.
There we are. And from me, sat in the corner here, pressing all the buttons. From all of us here in the studio, it is goodbye!
Goodbye!